People call Mary Magdalene the apostle to the apostles. It sounds like a big title. They have a formal title, but it's not just some fancy name somebody made up recently. It's ancient, and it's a title she earned. It's more of a job description, really. To understand it, you have to look at her story. Not the story you might have heard, but the one that's actually in the Bible. First, we have to clear the air. For a long, long time, Mary Magdalene was known as something else. For centuries, she was painted as a prostitute, a repentant sinner who wept at Jesus' feet. This image is powerful, it's in movies and art, but it's not accurate. It's a case of mistaken identity that stuck for over 1,000 years. So where did it come from? It came from a sermon. In the year 591, Pope Gregory the Great gave a sermon where he mixed up a few different women from the Gospels. He took Mary Magdalene, who was from a town called Magdala on the Sea of Galilee. He took Mary of Bethany, the sister of Martha and Lazarus, and he took an unnamed woman, described in the Gospel of Luke as a sinful woman who anointed Jesus' feet with her tears and her hair. He rolled them all into one person and declared them to be Mary Magdalene, the repentant prostitute. The idea was compelling. It created a powerful story of redemption, and because Pope Gregory was so influential, that image became the official story in the Western Church for a very long time. But the Bible itself never says this. It never once connects Mary Magdalene to a life of sexual sin. So, who was she, according to the text? The Gospels introduce her clearly. Luke's Gospel says she was one of a group of women who followed Jesus. These weren't just casual followers. They traveled with him and the 12 apostles, and they supported the whole group out of their own pockets. This means Mary was likely a woman of some wealth and independence. She wasn't a tag-along. She was a patron. She was invested. Luke also gives us one crucial detail. He says, Jesus had cast 7 demons out of her. We don't know what this means exactly. It could mean a physical illness, a mental struggle, or a spiritual affliction. Whatever it was serious. 7 is a number that often signifies completeness in the Bible. So, this was a complete torment. And Jesus freed her from it completely. Imagine that. Imagine being trapped in something so profound, so all-encompassing, and then being set free. The gratitude, the loyalty, the love you would feel would be immense. Her devotion to Jesus wasn't casual. It was forged in a life-changing rescue. From that moment on, she was all in. She followed him, she supported him, and she stayed with him. She stayed when it got hard. She stayed when it got dangerous. This brings us to the end of Jesus' life, the crucifixion. This is where Mary Magdalene's story really begins to show why she is so important. Think about the scene. Jesus is arrested. His closest followers, the men he had chosen to be his inner circle, the apostles, they scatter. Peter, the rock, denies he even knows him 3 times. The others run and hide. They are terrified. They fear for their lives. And who can blame them? The authorities just arrested their leader. They were probably next on the list, but who stays? The women. All 4 Gospels make a point of it. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all record that a group of women were there at the cross. And in every single account, Mary Magdalene is named first. She is the constant. She stood there and watched the whole brutal ordeal. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She stayed and witnessed his death. Her loyalty was stronger than her fear. This is the first part of being a witness. You have to be there. You have to see it with your own eyes. Mary Magdalene was there, and she stayed after he died. Joseph of Arimathea, a secret follower of Jesus, got permission to take his body down from the cross. He and Nicodemus prepared the body for burial. And who was watching? Mary Magdalene. The Gospel of Matthew says she and the other Mary sat opposite the tomb, watching where he was laid. This is important. She knew exactly where the tomb was. She saw the stone rolled in front of it. There would be no confusion later about finding the wrong tomb. She was a witness to his death, and she was a witness to his burial. She saw it all. The Sabbath came, a day of rest. They could do nothing, but their work wasn't finished. The burial had been rushed because the Sabbath was starting. They hadn't been able to properly anoint the body with the traditional spices and perfumes. So Mary Magdalene and the other women prepared the spices, and they planned to go back as soon as they could. On the first day of the week, while it was still dark, they went to the tomb. Again, Mary Magdalene is the primary actor here. The Gospel of John focuses on her alone. She goes to the tomb to perform one last act of love and devotion for her teacher. She expected to find a dead body. She expected to finish the burial rites. What she found was an empty tomb. The stone was rolled away. Her immediate reaction wasn't joy. It was panic. It was grief. She thought someone had stolen the body. It was the ultimate desecration. She runs to find Peter and John. She tells them, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we don't know where they have put him." Her words spark them into action. Peter and John race to the tomb. John, being younger, gets there first. He looks in and sees the linen cloths lying there. Then Peter arrives and goes right inside. He sees the strips of linen and the burial cloth that had been around Jesus' head folded up neatly by itself. John then goes inside, and the text says, he saw and believed. What he believed isn't totally clear. Perhaps he believed that the body hadn't been stolen by grave robbers who would have been messy. But he didn't yet understand the scripture that said Jesus had to rise from the dead. And then what happens? They go home, they saw the evidence, they were puzzled, and they left. But Mary stayed. This is maybe the most important detail in the entire story. The men left. Mary stayed. She just stood outside the tomb, weeping. Her grief was so deep. Her loss was so total. First he was crucified, now his body was gone, she couldn't even pay her final respects. She was heartbroken. In her sorrow, she bends down to look into the tomb one more time. And she sees something the men didn't see. 2 angels in white, sitting where Jesus' body had been. They ask her, "Woman, why are you crying?" She gives them the same answer she gave Peter and John. "They have taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they have put him." Her world is still one of loss and theft. Then she turns around, and she sees someone standing there. It's Jesus, but she doesn't recognize him. John's gospel says she thought he was the gardener. This is such a human detail. Her eyes are so clouded with tears, her mind so filled with grief, that she can't see what's right in front of her. He asks her the same question. The angels did, but with a new part. "Woman, why are you crying? Who is it you are looking for?" Still thinking he's the gardener, she says, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will get him." Even now, her focus is on caring for his body. Her devotion is unwavering. She just wants to find him. And then he says one word. "Mary." He just says her name. And in that moment, everything changes. The sound of his voice, the way he says her name, it cuts through all the grief and confusion. She knows who it is. She turns toward him and cries out in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. This is it. This is the moment. The very first person to see the resurrected Christ is Mary Magdalene. Not Peter, not John, not any of the men who would go on to lead the church. It was her, a woman from whom he had cast out 7 demons. She was the first witness of the resurrection. Jesus then gives her a strange command. "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father." And then he gives her a mission, a commission. This is the core of why she is called the apostle to the apostles. He tells her, "Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Let's break that down. He gives her a specific task. Go. He tells her who to go to. My brothers, meaning the other disciples, and he gives her a specific message to deliver. This isn't just a casual conversation, this is an official sending. The word apostle comes from the Greek word apostolos. It literally means one who is sent. It's not just a messenger, it's an emissary. Someone sent with the authority of the one who sent them. A general sends an apostle to deliver commands. A king sends an apostle to deliver a decree. In the New Testament, an apostle was someone who had seen the resurrected Lord and was sent by him to proclaim that news. This was the fundamental qualification. Paul defends his own apostleship later by saying he saw the risen Christ on the road to Damascus and was sent by him. By this definition, Mary Magdalene is the first apostle of the New Covenant. Jesus himself appeared to her. Jesus himself gave her a message, and Jesus himself sent her to proclaim it. And who did he send her to? The apostles, the other disciples who were still hiding in a locked room, terrified and confused. She was sent to the ones who were supposed to be the leaders, so she does exactly what he told her to do. She goes to the disciples and makes her great proclamation. The first proclamation of the gospel, the good news, she doesn't say, "I think I saw Jesus," or "I saw a ghost." She says it directly. "I have seen the Lord." And then she gives them the message he gave her. She reports back exactly what he said. She fulfills her mission. She is the first evangelist, the first person to preach the resurrection. Her testimony is the bridge. It connects the empty tomb to the upper room. It's the spark that reignites the faith of the scattered disciples. They heard the news first from her. Her witness becomes the foundation for their own. She was an apostle to them. She was sent to them. They were apostles to the world, but she was the apostle to them first. This isn't a modern revisionist idea. Early church fathers recognized her unique role. In the 2nd century, Hippolytus of Rome wrote about how Christ appeared to the women first, to make them apostles to the apostles. In the 4th century, Augustine of Hippo, one of the most influential theologians in history, wrote about it too. He highlighted the beautiful balance in the story of salvation. Just as a woman, Eve, was the first to bring a message of death from the serpent in the garden, so a woman, Mary, was the first to bring a message of life from the Savior at the tomb. He saw her as a pivotal figure. For the first few centuries of Christianity, Mary Magdalene was highly revered as this first witness. There were also non-canonical texts like the Gospel of Mary, where she is portrayed as a leader among the apostles, one who received special teachings from Jesus that the male disciples, particularly Peter, struggled to accept. While these texts aren't part of the Bible, they show that in some early Christian communities, her authority and importance were taken for granted. So what happened? Why did her role get so diminished in the West? It goes back to that sermon by Pope Gregory. By merging her with the sinful woman, her primary identity shifted. She was no longer the first witness to the resurrection. She became the repentant prostitute. Her bravery at the cross, her devotion at the tomb, her apostolic commission, all of it was overshadowed by this other incorrect story. For more than 1,300 years, that was her primary legacy. But in recent decades, there has been a great effort to restore her true identity. Scholars and theologians went back to the texts. They untangled the different women Pope Gregory had combined. The Catholic Church officially corrected the record in 1969, clarifying in its calendar that she is not the same person as Mary of Bethany or the unnamed sinner. And then in 2016, something even more significant happened. Pope Francis elevated the memorial of Mary Magdalene to a feast day, the same rank as the feasts of the other apostles. And in the official decree, he gave her a specific title, Apostle of the Apostles, Apostolorum Apostola. He made it official. He said she was the first to announce the joy of the resurrection and that her story should be a lesson for the whole church. This title matters. It reclaims her story. It puts the focus back where the Gospels put it, on her unwavering faith and her crucial role in the most important event in Christianity. Her story is a powerful one. It's a story of loyalty when others fled. It's a story of love that kept her weeping at an empty tomb when others went home. It's a story of being the first to receive the greatest news in human history. And it's a story that turns expectations upside down. In the ancient world, the testimony of a woman was not considered reliable in a court of law. It was often dismissed. The fact that God chose a woman to be the primary foundational witness for the resurrection is radical. Even the disciples themselves didn't believe her at first. Luke's gospel says that when she and the other women told them what they had seen, they did not believe the women because their words seemed to them like nonsense. They thought it was an idle tale. But it wasn't. It was the truth. And it came through Mary Magdalene. Because God chose the person the world would have dismissed. He gave the most important job to someone who wasn't part of the official inner circle of the 12. He entrusted the news of his victory over death not to the strong, but to the faithful. Not to the one who was designated the rock, but to the one who simply stayed. That is why she is called the Apostle to the Apostles. She was sent by Christ himself. She was sent to the future leaders of the church, and she delivered the message that changed the world. I have seen the Lord. It's not a title of honor given to her out of sentiment. It is a description of the job she was given and the mission she completed. She was the first to see, the first to be told, and the first to tell. Her witness is the bedrock on which all subsequent apostolic witness was built. Her story is not a side note to the resurrection. It is the beginning of the story of its proclamation to the world. And it all started when Jesus said her name in a garden, early one morning, while it was still dark.